sermon a day. I am Pastor Tom Estes, and this is your 5-minute sermon for February 20th, 2013. The title of today's message is, Are You Doing Your Duty? Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 says, Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Let me ask you the question, do you fear God? Now, what a Christian will immediately say is, yes, I fear God. Of course I fear God. It would be crazy not to fear God. But here's the question that you have to ask yourself, because you've got to follow up with that. It's not enough just to say, yes, I fear God, because if you do, there will be evidence of it in your life. For instance, if you fear God, you will be very careful about the kind of music that you listen to. You'll examine it all the time to make sure you're doing what's right. If you fear God, you will examine what you watch on television. And you won't want to watch things that you know are sinful or that you know are wicked. You'll care about that. If you fear God, you'll think about how you talk. You'll think about the words that come out of your mouth. You definitely won't use cuss words. And you'll try to do everything you can to stay away from words that sound like cuss words. You won't take God's name in vain if you fear Him. If you fear God, you'll be careful not to talk bad about people. You'll try at least. You see, it's in the struggle. The struggle is what lets you know you fear God. But a lot of Christians, they would say, oh yeah, I fear God. But they have no issue with doing anything and everything that comes down the pike. They basically do what feels good. Now, they've really got a bigger problem, which is greater than just simply fearing God, or should I say not fearing God. They may be lost. But the fact of the matter is, if you fear God, you're going to care about how you live. Because you're going to want to do everything you can to avoid being an affront to God with your sin. Then it says, of course, keeping His commandments, which goes along with that. A lot of us, I think, Christians today, modern day Christianity, they look at the Bible as sort of a list of suggestions. I know that's cliche, but it is true. People, we talk about drinking, we talk about fornicating, we talk about pick your sin. It seems like Christians today just kind of blow those things off. The thing is, as a Christian, as a child of God, you can't do those things. You're not keeping God's commands. And look, people try to blow off the Ten Commandments and say we don't have to do them. That's a lie. The Ten Commandments are repeated in the New Testament. We do have to keep those commandments. And we have to keep the other commandments. Commandments like love one another. Commandments like love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, mind, and strength. You see, if we fear God, we're going to do those things. And we can't say that we fear God if we don't do these things. And it says this is our whole duty. Now look at that next verse. The last verse of Ecclesiastes. It says, For God shall bring every work into judgment, with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. That ought to strike fear in the heart of every one of God's children. To know that our deepest secrets, our deepest desires, the things that we do that we want no one else to know that we do, those things are going to be brought out into the open. And they're going to be brought out into the open by the last person we'd ever want to know about them, God. You could almost make the case that we care more what people think than what God thinks. Because we sin in private. We say things when we think no one else is watching. We watch things on television when no one else is around. And it's like we don't understand that God is there. We serve an omnipresent God. He is there seeing everything that we do. And to know that every sin we commit, every single vile act we commit is going to be brought out before Him, that ought to strike great fear in our heart. And you see, that is why we're to fear God and keep His commandments. Because that verse 14 begins with the word for. That means because. Why should we do that? Because God's going to bring it all out into the open. I know when I read that, it convicts me. It ought to convict you. It ought to matter to you what God thinks. And I would just say this. If you hear this message and you think, well, he's kind of being picky, I don't really think these things are that important, you might have a bigger problem. Your problem may be that you're not saved. Your problem may be that you've never truly been converted. Because God does a work in His children. And one of the works that He does is He makes us want to reject our sin. We will disagree with it. Will we still sin? Absolutely. But we won't just think it's okay. I want you to really consider that question. Are you doing your duty as a Christian? All right, so that was your sermon for February 20th, 2013. Just again, want to thank all of you that watch these videos. I want to point you to our website, southsidewinterhaven.com. We've got all of our information there. Anything you want to know about us, you'll be able to find there. And if you're ever in Winter Haven, Florida, we've got a seat for you. We'd love for you to come so that we can preach Christ to you. And if you're not saved, maybe you'll get saved at our church. And maybe if you are, maybe you'll be able to serve at our church. We just love to be able to help you in any way that we can. God bless you, and have a great day.